Hi there. This is a quick video on how to re-wax your well-loved and well-used beeswax wraps. The Beeswax TLC bar is a 2-ounce bar of the formula that we use to infuse the cotton to make the beeswax wraps. With the 2-ounce bar, you're going to get step-by-step instructions on how to do this process. It'll walk you right through. It's pretty easy. You're going to take your bar, cut some pieces of the wax formula into small pieces. I do tell people you can use a vegetable peeler, although I found after doing it a few times that I have an old paring knife that's not tremendously sharp, but it's sharp enough, it gets the job done. I have a little bit more control with that, so I stopped using the veggie peeler. Don't use a cheese grater. I tell people don't use a cheese grater because you lose half of your product in your teeth. It makes a mess, and it does cut the pieces very small, which is what you do want because it melts easier. However, you can cut pieces quite small with just using a knife, and you just kind of, cut your pieces small like that. If you do cut a really big piece, then all you're gonna do is take that piece and break it. You can use the knife to cut it, or you can just break it into smaller pieces. Once you get your pieces all cut up and ready to go, let's talk about the work surface. The work surface, what I have here this is a piece of cotton. This is an old flannel sheet. It's thin, but it's protecting my work surface and giving me a little bit of a pad here. You can use an old beach towel or an old worn out bathroom towel or whatever. So I have that down. I tape with masking tape the ends of the towel and the first piece of parchment. That way I don't have to fight with them while I'm trying to take it apart. So I have my work surface covered with my flannel blanket, a piece of parchment, and a second piece of parchment I'm gonna put over the top. And I have my shreds of wax. This is an old wax wrap. Doesn't matter if you put it down this way or this way, it really doesn't matter that much. I'm just go ahead and set this one down this way. You want to make sure that your wax wrap is ready for this process by making sure it is clean, completely clean and dry. This one has, because it's an old wax wrap, it does still have some residual wax on it, so you don't need a huge amount. The smaller the pieces of the formula bar that you put on here, the quicker and easier they melt with the iron. I'm going to place them all along here. Just kind of spread them out a little bit. I don't really need that much there. And then let's talk about the iron. You're going to want an iron that is on the cotton setting, nice and hot, and you don't want it to have steam. This one is an old and abused iron that I used when I started making these a long time ago by hand. I just happen to have kept it around, so I'm using this one. If you do have an iron that's in good shape, what I would do is cover the base of the iron or the face of the iron with a piece of aluminum foil before you turn the iron on and heat it up. So you're going to set your second piece of parchment over top of your wax wrap. You're going to take your hot iron, set it over the top. And you're just going to set it there, kind of move it around a little bit so it'll melt the pieces of wax formula bar underneath. You're not pressing on it. You're not putting any weight on it. You're just letting the weight of the iron itself press up against the pieces of wax underneath the parchment or between the two sheets of parchment. And then once they melt, you're just going to want to move it around a little bit. You'll be able to see right here that this piece isn't melted quite yet. So I'm just going to kind of run it over there. And then over on this side, I got another thicker piece. So while you're melting it, you're just kind of moving it, in a circular motion, and you'll be able to see once it's melted completely, you won't see those white spots anymore. Like here, that piece is not melted, so I'm just gonna go over the top of it a few times and just let like I said, I'm barely hanging on to this. I'm just letting the weight of the iron itself. I'm just gonna go back and forth. Now, once it looks like all your pieces have melted, that's just dirt. From probably the bottom of the iron, but once you see that all your pieces have melted, you're going to go over the entire wrap a couple times to make sure it's nice and warm, which will make it easier to peel the parchment back. So it's nice and warm everywhere, everything is melted. I'm going to set it aside. I'm going to peel my parchment back. Then I'm going to pick up my wax wrap from the corners, and then I'm just going to kind of swing it a little bit. And it's not really wet technically, it's the wax is melted on it, so I just wave it back and forth a few times. Some people do choose to hang it up. That's fine too. I'm just gonna hold it for a second and swing it back and forth till it cools enough, and then I can set it on another hard surface and let it sit there till it cools completely. But this will take about 10 minutes and then it'll be ready to use if you want to use it. And that's all there is to it. And that's how you, oh, got a little spot here. Now I have a spot on here that did not necessarily melt. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna set it down, put my parchment back over it. And now this is already melted, all the chunks are melted out. So I'm just gonna heat this up because I had one little spot over here that had not melted, or it was a little thicker. So I'm just gonna move it back and forth. Now I know that I got that one spot that was right about here, and everything else is nice and melted. So we're just gonna try it again. Now we're gonna lift it up. And then, like I said, I'm just gonna hold it, swing it back and forth. There we go. That one's fine now. That's the back side. I'm just gonna hold it back and forth, swing it back and forth until it cools off a little bit. There we go. That's fine. Now, you can also take pieces of your own cotton. This here is just a piece of cotton from a fabric that, it's a scrap that I actually had left over from fabric that I used to make wax wraps out of, and it's no longer available. So on this, I'm going to set that piece of cotton there. It is clean and dry. I'm going to take some wax and put this over the top of it. Little pieces here and there. Now in a case like this, it's not pre-waxed, so it's going to take a little bit more. This is just a piece of raw cotton. So I'm going to put some of the formulated bar cut up into pieces on top of it. This one's kind of thick, so I'm going to break it up. Now I'm going to take my parchment, put it over the top of it. It's going to take a little bit more time because this doesn't have any wax on it to begin with. So at this point, I'm going to be melting into raw cotton. So it's going to take an extra minute or two. Like I said before, you don't really have to put a lot of pressure on it. It's the heat that's doing the work for you and just the weight of the iron itself. This piece here I can see is not quite melted. So I'm going to keep moving back and forth. This is one of my favorite patterns, but it was a very limited amount that I could get. I think I only got 3 or 4 boards at the time. And then it sold out, so I just have a few little scraps left. Okay, so it looks like it's all melted all around there. And because there was already a little bit of wax on the parchment paper, and then what I added on top of the wrap itself, this should be set. So I'm going to move it around so that this wrap is nice and warm. I think I got it warm all over the place, so it should be good. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. And same thing, I'm just going to wave it in the air. It'll cool off. And then once it's cool enough, I can set it on a solid surface and it won't stick or leave any residue. So I'm just going to wave this back and forth. Take a quick look. Yep, looks good. and it should be ready to go. I'll just set this on the counter over there, and this will be ready to use on the next half an apple or a tomato or whatever it is I happen to be cutting or cooking with. That's all there is to it. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.